right now.
So now, Jesus' family line, in terms of as a dynasty, was the Hasmonean dynasty at the time. And their symbol of their household was a panther, a black panther. Now, I got that from the writings of Sir Godfrey Higgins in the book Anacalypsis. And he seems to substantiate it very well. Because this panther, Black Panther symbol went all the way back to ancient Greece. Bacchus, their god of wine and dance and singing, also had a black panther as his symbol. So it was a very popular symbol in the ancient world.
C'est toujours un plaisir d'être là avec vous. Vous écoutez la fréquence 109. Merci à vous.
All right, guys. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to read some poetry. I'm going to read a poem as quickly as I can. It's called Coyote and Ejksrl. Yeah, I don't know what the last name is. EJKSRL. All right, let's just call him, okay, maybe it's Ezekiel. Maybe it's a weird spelling of Ezekiel. Coyote and Ezekiel. This poem was written by an 8-year-old, okay? And it says, once there was a kid named Ezekiel. On a hot, dripping Sunday morning, he saw Coyote. Ezekiel said hi to Coyote. Remember, this is an 8-year-old writing about a coyote. Excuse me for a second. Okay. An 8-year-old talking to a coyote. Okay. All right. Ezekiel said hi to Coyote. Coyote said hi back. Ezekiel wasn't very smart. In fact, he was kind of stupid. He got the urge to jump off a cliff. He said to Coyote, "Do you want to jump off of a cliff with me?" "No, thank you," said Coyote. "Okay, here I go," said Ezekiel. He landed in wet cement. It took the cement company 21 hours to get Ezekiel out of the cement. After that, Coyote said, "Aren't you hungry yet? I could eat a cactus sandwich." "That's a good idea. I'm going to eat one too." "No," said Coyote, but Ezekiel did not listen. He had to find out for himself what not to eat. That's a cute story, all right, written by an 8-year-old. The title is Coyote and EJKSRL, and for the sake of, ease, I'm going to just say the name is Coyote and Ezekiel, okay? All right. There's another poem here, but I want to make a connection between this poem that I just read by an 8-year-old, and in which the 8-year-old or the whomever the poem is about, Ezekiel, Ezekiel talked to the animal. All right. So it was written by an 8-year-old, and that's an 8-year-old's imagination. So we will allow that, right? But here's another poem I'm going to read, and this was by a 39-year-old, I guess. Yeah, I was 39 when I wrote this. But similarly, there was a conversation had between a human and an animal. I wrote the poem. It was about me, my experience, and a goat. All right. And how do I explain myself? Why did I write a poem about a human, a man, talking to a goat? I guess the only answer that comes to mind is loneliness and solitude. And there are, I can't think of the title, can't think of the term, but there is a term for seeing a human face, where there actually isn't a human face. And so, you could look at a pattern and then you could see a human face out of that pattern. And that's a certain type of, I wouldn't want to say a psychological problem. I wouldn't want to say that. But it's something that humans do because humans are pattern seekers. All right. I say that to say, in the same way that you see a pattern where there is no face or there is no, no true design, the brain will create a design. And in this case, when a human talks to an animal, it's the same way. A human may look into the eyes of an animal and may think, hey, this animal is talking to me, or there is some cognition taking place, behind those eyes of that animal. You would only have to you could only have that experience and come arrive at that conclusion if you were alone, like I was in the desert. Or you don't have to be in the desert, but you just have to have spent some time alone. And I'll give you an example. My grandmother, talks to her dog. That's just one example. That's not a psychological problem. That's a part of being, alone and developing a relationship with an animal. She knows that she's not crazy. She knows that the animal is not going to respond to her, but she talks to the animal. So, I say that to say it's natural. It's natural for us it's natural for human beings to. Heck, we look at an animal's face, and we think there's some cognition going on. They look human. That's why we like, dogs. That's what I'm referring to specifically. We look at dogs and we have an affinity toward dogs because of our so-called connection to them, because we think they're so much like us. They're man's best friends. All right. So that was my preface, my preface to my poem to explain why the heck I wrote a poem about me talking to a goat. All right. Anyhow, here's the poem that I wrote. It's called Only for the Lonely. I was in the desert, walking on my way home. I lived in the desert. Daily the sun beat down on my dome. There was an alley behind where I lived. On this day, goats were there. The sight of a goat in the wild is rare. So I decided to snap a photo. One goat approached me and began to stare. His piercing gaze made me believe that this goat was trying to communicate with me. Caught in that moment between wanting to go inside my home or spending more time with this goat, I snapped a photo and looked deeply into the goat's eyes. Now the goat's hoof was planted squarely on my new sneaks. I imagine the goat said, "Hey, playa, what brings you around here? Aren't you a ways from home? Oh, am I standing on your new kicks? So, something wrong?" Now, I'm not in the habit of talking to animals. That's crazy. So I just snapped the photo and went on my way. That interaction made me chuckle, especially because that disrespectful mofo made me feel like bugging out from Do the Right Thing when he stepped on my shoe. I'm pointing at the photos here that represent this poem, y'all. Here's the kicker. I would never have purchased blue-laced blue sneakers in LA. Unwanted attention is what would come my way. Hey, fool, where you from? What's that you claiming? You know what I'm talking about? Watomi Kwan comes to mind. But there I was, thousands of miles away. I'm going to repeat that. It's in the poem, okay? I would not have purchased blue-laced blue sneakers in L.A. Unwanted attention is what would come my way. But there I was, thousands of miles away. And after 14 days, Nipsey would be gone to our dismay. Boom, for real, all right? So this is the artwork that tells the story of what happened. This is the goat that approached me. This goat was staring into my eyes right here with its hoof squarely planted on my new blue lace Nike sneaks. Here's a picture of the sneakers after they had been stepped on by this goat, the infamous, all right? This is the goat here in my neighborhood, like a little alley next to my house right here. There were 3 goats in all, but this one particular goat approached me and stood on my foot. Here are the shoes I bought, the blue lace Nike sneakers that I never would have bought in Los Angeles because I don't want unwanted attention. I don't want all that. Okay, so that's the story. All right, now, as I say, here's the kicker. We call shoes kicks, right? Kick. You get it? Yeah, I know, corny, right? But here's the kicker. That poem that I read about that 8-year-old talking to a coyote or talking to an animal, that story, poem, I guess it was a short story, excuse me. That short story was written by none other than Ermias Nipsey Hussle Asghedom at 8 years old. Boom, for real. So when I talk about what I'm talking about, I mean, it's just natural. So Nipsey's life and his experience he didn't have an experience in a vacuum. His experience, resonated with everyone because he was just like all of us. And so when we saw him, we identified with him. We admired his achievements, and we appreciated his success, because even though we weren't him, we were a part of his success. His success was our success. And he gave us hope, and he gave us, pride. He built our self-esteem up. He did that from the bottom. He built our self-esteem up. So that's what that's about. Appreciation. This video and post is about appreciation for the legacy of Ermias Asghedom. Just a good dude. A really good dude. All right. Inspiration is what Nipsey reminded us is the highest form, the highest human act. The highest human act is to inspire. So children and adults, remember that. Peace, love, and blessings. We're out.
You're at 109 right now.
Window seat surfing on the wing. As an adolescent, I dreamed of big things. Climb to the top of the mountain to see the scene. Petty rap, don't want